coming up on this podcast, immunity. We all need a bit of that at the start of January, as well as miracle cures, finding trustworthy supplements, never easy, and lots more with Stephanie Drax, but mainly immunity in cold season.
Hi, I'm Tony. I'm an author, presenter at Sky Sports, and years ago I went to the jungle and got ill. Very ill. So this is my podcast adventure to find more energy. It's packed with biohacking, science, health tech, supplements, and some of the most well-known experts on the planet.
This is something I spent 4 months of my life doing with electrodes glued to my head so that you can do a lifetime worth of meditation.
Decide what you don't give a fuck about, which is something you don't care about.
Some of it gets quite out there.
I had some stem cells sent up to my house that I had stored, and then I injected myself with mannitol.
And we even hack hangovers.
Alcohol is poisonous. So is water and oxygen in the wrong dosage.
So that's my podcast, Zestology. Live life with energy, vitality, and motivation.
Hello again, welcome back to Zestology. I hope your 2023 is going zestily. Is that a word? I'm not sure. Today on this podcast, I wanted to do one about immunity at the start of January, because it feels like what happens normally is we go hell for leather in the Christmas party season. We go big, and then Christmas happens, and then January happens, and we sort of feel a bit under the weather for a while. So today we talk immunity in cold season with Stephanie Drax, a new miracle cure for colds that Stephanie has sort of compiled and discovered. I'm so trying this. In fact, I have been trying it already, and I'm getting more involved over it over the next few months. I talk about the perils of having young children bring back bugs from nursery, how to find trustworthy supplements online, and we do a little bit of a chat about red light therapy as well, and infrared light, and I'll tell you a little bit more about my podcast partners today later on. But straight away, if you want to go and see bondcharge.com/Tony, bondcharge.com/Tony, you'll be able to get some of those red light therapy devices. Before I get into the podcast, thank you very much for all your feedback about the new Zestology logo. Changed for the first time in 247 years. I don't know how long I'd had the old one for, but I mean, it was so long, I don't even know the designer who did the old logo anymore. And it was definitely time for change. The old logo did a job, but the new logo feels, there's no other word for it, zesty. And I've had some lovely feedback as well. So thank you for that. I'm glad you like it. If you don't like it, it's here to stay. Sometimes, when I worked in radio for many years, and they never wanted to change the breakfast show on any station, even if the breakfast show wasn't very good, because people often don't like change. So I hope you do like change this time around, and it's here to stay, that logo. I'm not going to be changing it for a long time. Right, here she is, Stephanie Drax, on today's Zestology. Stephanie, how are you doing?
Very well, thank you. How are you?
Very good. We've just been having a chat, and I always have to say to people, when I'm talking about histamine intolerance, because I've got my sort of niche other interest website, I always have to say, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a practitioner, I'm a journalist. And that's what you say as well as me.
That's basically what I just said to you. Yes, so we're on the same page. I mean, we're both curious journalists. We like to learn a lot. We do our due diligence, but not experts scientifically speaking.
I love that though. I don't want to be a doctor. I want to be a journalist, sniffing out good information and then finding experts who can help me act on that.
Me too. I mean, I could have said it better myself, Tony. Yeah.
So we've got our specialist subject for today. But before that, just tell me a little bit about what you do, where you do your work, where you're a journalist, where we can read your stuff, all that sort of thing.
So I'm based in London, and yes, I am a journalist. And I started out at the Telegraph, over 15 years ago or something, and was working in sort of culture and lifestyle and travel. And it all kind of started my dip into immunology a few years ago when I was writing an article on gut health and how to stop my kids getting coughs and colds. You've got a small one, Tony. I had two very small ones at that time, and they were coming down with coughs and colds. And I was looking for something to keep them well, so I was writing an article on it, and that's how I got into now my specialist topic. So it was journalism that led me to it. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. And actually, because our son has started at a different, he's had a childminder up until recently, and now he started at a nursery, and there's been a lot of bugs recently. So I'm going to be taking copious notes, because my strategy at the moment is taking as much vitamin C as possible and then Benylin at bedtime. Right? There's got to be a better way. So, so look, let's talk about lactoferrin then. I mean, this is exactly what I like on this podcast, going super niche and a bit geeky, but I've got a feeling that people are going to take action. Why are you so passionate about lactoferrin?
Right. So let's go back to where I just left off. So I had these 2 kids at nursery and they were bringing home everything, just like your son is now. And I was just racking my brains looking for something to sort of stop this endless cycle of coughs and colds rampaging through our house. My husband and I were getting everything as well. So I did my research and I ended up speaking to a nutritionist first and then to a scientist. And the scientist said words that I'll never forget, which was, you've got to try lactoferrin, Stephanie. I haven't had a cold in 30 years.
What?
And
wow.
I said, what? And I said, what is it? And he said, well, it's an antiviral protein that your body makes every day. It's in all of your bodily secretions, in your eyes, your nose, your mouth, the saliva, the tears, mucus. And it basically sits there ready to neutralize viruses or bacteria as they try to enter the body, because those are the entry points, right? It's also in white blood cells within the body. And it's also the key component of mother's milk. So having had 2 babies not that long before I'd had this conversation, I remember when I was breastfeeding them, they never got sick. It was like they were wrapped in this sort of magical cloak of immunity. Everything just bounced off them. And as soon as I stopped breastfeeding, they got everything.
Yeah.
So that made immediate sense to me. So he said to me, look, what happens is you can extract it from cow's milk, because cow's milk and human milk is actually very similar biologically. But when you think about it, the concept's the same, is giving immunity to a baby, priming a newborn's immune system, whether that is a calf or a human baby. So you can extract lactoferrin from cow's milk. So some of this stuff arrived because I got a sample of it. And, being a journalist, I try all sorts of weird and wonderful things. So my husband was like, what's that? I said, well, apparently it knocks a cold. It knocks a cold on the head. And he sort of rolled his eyes back in his head and said, okay, look, I'll give it a try with you. And we were absolutely amazed because it just kept working again and again and again. And
wow.
It nipped the kids' cold and our colds in the bud every time. And, we used to have, my husband was taking Berocca and Lemsip and all that sort of stuff. The kids were on the Calpol. And I mean, all of that went aside. We just were sticking with the lactoferrin and it just did it. It just did the trick. So when we ran out, my husband was climbing the wall to go, when are you going to get more? When are you going to get more? And I couldn't find what I wanted because this powder sits in the roof of the mouth. It's very, very fine pink powder that's a bit like icing sugar. And when you take it into the mouth, it just sticks to your gums. And it goes in that way through the rich vein network of the mouth, according to the scientist who told me about it in the first place. He said, you want to keep it in the mouth. And the pills that I could find, these big bullet-sized capsules, were coming from the States and they were to be swallowed with water. And I thought, no, I think we can do better than this. So I got myself an immunologist, a nutritionist, a pharmaceutical scientist, and the founder of Planet Organic as my mentor, and created this supplement. So it's lactoferrin, which is this pink powder, extracted from cow's milk, together with zinc and vitamin C. Because I think when people get a cold, they think zinc and vitamin C. So there are 2 that people recognize. And then you've got this hero ingredient, really. It's the lactoferrin. And you chew this tablet at the very first sign of a cold, a tickle in the throat, sniffle in the nose. And I mean, it's just like magic. And that's the word I keep hearing back now from customers. It's like magic.
Wow.
And it really is, but it's not me. It's Mother Nature. It comes from milk.
That's a big claim, isn't it? Because obviously people can test it out really easily, can't they?
Yeah, I know. And when I first started, when we first launched the product, I sat very much holding my breath going, is it just us and the scientist who thinks this? In fact, I called an immunologist at the University of Texas who's an expert in lactoferrin and been working with it for 35 years. And his name is on many of the scientific papers that you'll find on lactoferrin. And I said, is it just B or is it? Yeah. And he said, no. This stuff is incredible. And I said, why is it not better known? And sometimes things take a long time to catch up. As you said, you work with a lot of niche things, and this is one of those niche things, but it's older than the human race. It's in the milk of most mammals. It's been around longer than us.
Yes, I niche is my middle name, and I haven't heard of it. So, yeah.
Well, I was surprised. I hadn't heard of it either. And I sort of, I work in sort of lifestyle journalism, so it was odd to me as well. But yeah, it works. So yes, I mean, anybody can try it and see for themselves. And actually, that's what I said to people at the beginning. For example, Liz Earle, who's been a fantastic supporter of the brand, I said to her, don't try it until you need it. Wait until you feel a cold coming on.
Oh, yeah.
Do the test. And that's exactly what happened. And so then, I went on an Insta Live with her. And that's what I said to many people, just wait and put it to the test.
Right. So what's the difference between this and colostrum?
So colostrum's got all sorts of goodies in it. So lactoferrin is very much in colostrum. There's sometimes more of it in colostrum than there is in mother's milk. So yes, that tells you how important lactoferrin is, because Mother Nature has literally put it as the first thing on your menu. It is within colostrum. There's lots of it in that first sticky substance. For anybody who doesn't know what colostrum is, you get 3 days of this very, very sticky substance before the milk comes in. And so there's lots of lactoferrin in that colostrum. But colostrum's got other things in it too. It's got growth factors in it. And I know people have been taking colostrum for a while and find that to be very beneficial too. But the reason I went for lactoferrin itself out of milk and not colostrum in general is because, well, for a start, I think colostrum's for the calf.
Yeah,
that's just the mum and me. And secondly, I think it has all these growth factors in it, and I think that can be beneficial sometimes, but not others.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
For example, one doesn't need those growth factors. So really, I just wanted to deal with the pure lactoferrin because that was magical enough on its own.
Yeah, I have taken colostrum before, and always very careful to use an organic brand where they've made sure that the mother cow has been able to feed the baby cow before they take it and put it into capsules. Yeah. But I think there is some interesting research about how colostrum basically supercharges your immune system so much that actually it can be counterintuitive if you take it all the time.
Exactly.
Yeah, so you might cycle it. And what you're saying with lactoferrin is you wouldn't take it all the time either.
So the thing that's interesting, I what we say with lactoferrin is with Leapfrog Immune, which is the name of the product that I created with the lactoferrin, zinc, and vitamin C, is there are two ways to take it. You can take it what we call SOS. So as I said, you get that first inkling of a cold and you think, oh, good God, I'm coming down with something. Yeah. Take it as soon as you possibly can because it stops the virus from getting into healthy cells. It literally blocks the virus.
I'm so getting some. I need to try it.
That's okay. I'll send you some, Tony, of course.
So it's all right. I've pretty much got a line of credit at Planet Organic anyway. I'm quite happy to go down there and buy some.
Okay. So you need to get it in at the very, very, very first sign. That is key. So yeah, that's the SOS. Get in at the first sign and then take 2 tablets, morning, one in the morning, one in the night until the symptoms have gone. Sometimes you take 1 tablet, you go to bed early, you wake up, and it's gone. Other times you need to take 2 tablets a day for, 2 or 3 days, depending on the severity of the virus and really other factors come into play. How run down are you?
Yeah.
How much stress have you got going on? Because there's only so much a little pill can do if, it's pretty extreme. But very often it can work in as little as 1 or 2 tablets. And then the other way to take it is what you just said, cycling. We call it the pulse method. So I worked this out with the lactoferrin expert that the immunologist that I have been working with at the University of Texas. And we thought, look, your body produces its own lactoferrin every day. But sometimes your reserves can be depleted faster than they're restored. And that's when it's good to supplement with extra lactoferrin. But we feel that it's good to give your body a chance to make its own lactoferrin. So therefore we say 1 tablet per day, month on, month off. So 1 tablet for the month of November, but not for December, for January, but not. And that sort of cycling gives you continued immune support over time, but allows your body to make its own lactoferrin.
Yeah. Interrupting this podcast for one moment to remind you that my podcast partner today is Spermidine Life. You may well have heard your friends in the biohacking world talk about Spermidine, or maybe in the health world, or maybe Dr. David Sinclair, or any number of top experts. But why is spermidine life good for you? Early studies show that spermidine may trigger and enhance the cellular process known as autophagy in our bodies. When I interviewed Dr. David Sinclair, he was like, look, this is the thing that I'm taking, that everybody should be taking to live longer and healthier. Studies have shown that autophagy could have a number of significant benefits for human cells. Obviously, always do your own research, always consult your doctor prior to taking any new supplements, but I really think that spermidine is a good one to be looking into long term in terms of longevity, but also in terms of a lot of the sort of health and wellness benefits that are a little bit more immediate. Skin, hair, nails, anti-aging generally, cardiovascular health. Spermidine can improve cellular function and cardiovascular function into older age, and then neurodegeneration and immune function as well. The final thing is that there's emerging research, a little bit, not a massive amount, but there's a lot of studies in progress on sleep. Spermidine in model organism studies has done really well for sleep, and I'm interested to see what happens in 2023. So you can use the code Tony20 when you go to spermidinelife.us. That is Tony20 to get 20% off. Try the spermidine. Let me know how you get on. Now, back to the show.
It's really interesting, isn't it? Because actually your career has taken quite a similar sort of path to mine, really. You've been a journalist and then you thought, hang on, there's a few gaps in the market here. I'm going to dive right in and get involved.
Exactly.
So when did you bring out this lactoferrin product?
So I've had that chat with a scientist. 2018, I started ruminating on how I was going to create this product, and it launched in 2020. Which was obviously at a time when he was at the forefront of everyone's mind. But I mean, but then it was also a very, very crowded market too, because suddenly everybody had an antiviral, this, that, and the next thing. So it was a very, very crowded market. And really, I'm talking about, colds, ear and coughs. So yeah, that's when I launched a couple of years ago. And now I've brought out another product too within that range.
Yeah. And is it going well?
It's going really well. The really exciting thing about it is that people try it and they go, oh, good God, it works. And then they buy it again. And then they tell their friends. So it's been really interesting because I haven't spent a lot of money on marketing. I really wanted it to be organic and just, really just see how it grows with word of mouth. And it really has. So that's been very, very exciting. And it was telling when I launched my second product, which was last month, Leapfrog Snooze, which is it's anti-stress, anti-anxiety, and sleep promoting. That there was so much goodwill because of Leapfrog Immune. People believe in the brand because they believe in that, the product, the ingredients within it. So it's been fun.
Yeah. I mean, I've got a big network of biohackers in London. I think I need to introduce you to them. And then, in fact, you should come and exhibit at some of these biohacking summits. People would love this sort of stuff.
I know. I'm definitely on the periphery of biohacking, but I'm standing here on the periphery going, this is biohacking. Hello. This is biohacking.
Yeah.
So, I know, Tim Biohacker and Dave Asprey and, these guys who are doing great things. I definitely, would love to start talking about lactoferrin in that context too.
Well, I know both of them and be very happy to introduce you. So for a lifetime supply of lactoferrin, and that's absolutely fine exchange. So look, this is very exciting. I mean, I genuinely have had just a sort of a non-stop sort of fluctuation of slightly tickly coughs and sore throats in our house for the last month and a half. So, I mean, I'm genuinely going to act on this. Yeah. Can kids take it?
Yeah, they can. So we say that it's suitable for 4 and up. And listen, it's in mother's milk, right? So babies can absolutely have lactoferrin because they're fed it through mother's milk. But the reason we say 4 and up on for Leapfrog Immune is because it contains the right amount of zinc and vitamin C for a 4-year-old.
Okay.
So in one tablet. So that's why that's the age.
So we're going to have to wait about 5 months then.
Wow.
I'm going to set the alarm. There's one element
that is just the journalist in me, the alarm bell is ringing a little bit. And that is not alarm bell, but there's a question that you've already sort of mentioned, but I want to ask again, and that is, why hasn't this been discovered before? Why is it not already out there?
So I was so curious, concerned about that I got in touch with the European Union's EFSA, European Food Standards Association, and asked that very question. I said, I'm about to launch a lactoferrin brand in the UK. Is there any reason I can't? And they said, no, absolutely not. And then I found this wonderful manufacturer in the UK, because the lactoferrin itself I get from northern France, from grass-fed cow's milk in northern France. And then I bring it over here to a very good manufacturer that I use in the UK. And they said, actually, no, lactoferrin's not on the register. We won't be able to use it. And I said, what? And I got in touch with the with whoever it is that writes the European in Brussels, who is in charge of the register that says what can be used and not used. And they said to me, there's been a mistake. It should be on there, and they rectified it. They put lactoferrin on there, and then we were able to proceed. But it was a gut-wrenching moment. But we got over that hurdle, and I like to think, I had a part to play in that. But no, it can very much be put in supplements, and you can find other supplements, none that are chewable, which I think gives leapfrog the edge, because as I said before, you're using that rich vein network of the mouth and bypassing the harsh gastric juices. So I think chewable is key. But no, I just think, that now is the time to shine a spotlight on it. And also I'd say another reason, it's only been technologically possible to extract the lactoferrin from the cow's milk in the last 35 years. It's a highly technological process to get it out and have it maintain its activity. So only a few companies, handfuls of companies in the world can do it. And probably that's another reason it's only just coming to the
Yeah. Today's podcast is brought to you by Bon Charge. I have wanted to team up with them for so long because it's such an easy sell for me. When you use a company's products, it's just very easy. And I've been on board with blue light blocking glasses ever since I was told about them. I think Luke Story told me about them about 7 or 8 years ago. And Bon Charge make beautiful blue light blocking glasses for nighttime. If you go to boncharge.com/Tony, then you can see their nighttime glasses, their daytime glasses, their computer glasses, their sunglasses, and then they've got a load of cool other stuff as well. Red light therapy, blue light blocking, lighting, blackout sleep masks, EMF and radiation blocking as well, all in the name of better sleep and better health. What I think they've done is they've just sort of taken all these concepts of good health and they've said, we're going to do this properly. If you go to their site, you just know they do it properly. They ship worldwide. They ship to the US and the UK. You can use the code TONY20 for 20% off absolutely everything. And check out the company because it's a really cool company. They're on a mission to optimize people's sleep, well-being, and recovery. But what they want to do is they use products that are science-based and rigorously tested. So go to boncharge.com/Tony, see a big cheesy picture of me on there, and you'll also see the discount code 20% off using the code TONY20. And I do think the glasses are a bit redder than other glasses, which is brilliant. So the last hour before bed, I think it's really good to just block out all the light. I love them. Tony20, boncharge.com/Tony. Now back to the show. I have sold supplements before as well and been involved in companies that have sold supplements. And I wonder how you found that process then, because it sounds like it's been a hell of an administrative journey. And also, you're bringing out a supplement, you're doing something that hasn't been done before. You've got to make sure it's right, haven't you? How have you found the paperwork aspect of the whole thing?
No, I think it's good. I'm working with the right people who, my manufacturer has very, very high standards. So I know that I wouldn't be able to get anything past them unless it was all as it should be. And I think, and that is as it should be. I think with supplements, it is a little bit of a wild west out there. So I think, I pride myself on working with the very best people, companies for the lactoferrin, for the ingredients, for the manufacture. and all of my sort of experts that are on my team, and making sure that we can make the very best product. I mean, we choose the best vitamin B6. We choose the most, bioavailable of the zinc, and so I think these things are very important. So I have my own standards and integrity, and I think one has to have those in the supplement world. Otherwise, you sink, I suppose, as well.
Yeah, and as a consumer, it's really hard. There is undoubtedly a massive difference between not just one form of zinc and another, but one brand of zinc and another. And it is very, very hard. I'm someone who spends a lot of money on supplements, and so I'm really keen to spend less money when I can. And it's really hard to tell which brand is actually going to be good and which isn't. And sometimes it's painful experience because some brands I just react to. And in fact, there's one or two brands that I literally can't use their supplements because whatever they're using in the manufacturing process. And by the way, some very well-respected brands, I won't say it on here, but some well-respected brands. So it's hard, isn't it, to sort out the wheat from the chaff in terms of supplement brands.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's true. And look, we're all different. I mean, God, COVID's taught us that. We all react differently to things. And it is, you've got to kind of, pardon the pun, suck it and see. But yeah, I mean, I think one of the exciting things, I mean, I always struggled with supplements because, you buy something and you think, oh God, is it working by month 1, month 2, month 3? I'm spending all this money. And what I really love about Leapfrog is that it gives you instant results. You know what it feels like when you start coming down with a cold, and you know how it's going to play out. And when you can take something and get a result that, either it totally disappears or really shortens the duration and severity of the symptoms, there's a tangible effect. And that's really exciting, because I think with a lot of supplements, you can't really tell if it's working a lot of the time.
I agree. Yeah, I started taking a supplement called Biotoxin Binder a few months ago and had instant results from it. And it's quite rare to get results like that. And it's just so exciting when you do. It's, charcoal is a binder, zeolite is a binder. Charcoal's great if you've had a few too many drinks in the evening. You want to mitigate the effects of the hangover. But a lot of these binders really dehydrate you. And charcoal is one of the oldest remedies known to man. It was used when people got poisoned and still is. Biotoxin Binder is a slightly more advanced binder. They use humic acid and fulvic acid, and it's supposed to be very gentle on the stomach. The other ingredients include broccoli extract, I think, and suits me really well. Helps me when I sort of get a flare up of histamine intolerance symptoms, and also helps with detox. So if you're going through a detox of some description, taking this alongside it can really make that a very gentle experience. And so it's been fantastic for me. And so I just know when you do hit a supplement that you can actually measure the impact very quickly without even having to try that hard. That's quite exciting.
It is. It is exciting. Yeah.
Have you got any other good, you said you're on the fringes of biohacking. You got any other good ones that you recommend?
No, do you know what? I'm so fully absorbed with this, but what else do I take? I am quite into my collagen supplements as well. And I'm sort of cycling those too, because there are a few brands that I really like, Ancient and Brave being one of them. And I've tried Davinia Taylor's as well, and Will Powders, and also Hunter and Gather. And, I quite like the nutrition from within aspect, that sort of for the glowing skin and the hair and all of that. Sorry, I guess it's all incredibly vain, but it's just,
don't worry, I'm fully on board with incredibly vain. Hunter and Gather is a brilliant brand. I'm pretty sure we get through more of their tubs of mayonnaise than anyone else in London.
Yeah, and their ketchup.
Their ketchup's delicious as well. So talking about the hair and the nails and everything else, obviously we've mentioned spermidine before we started this podcast, and that's one for you to explore in terms of that, because that's a really interesting one.
Okay.
But have you come across these LED face masks?
Yes, I have, because, Lizelle has been talking about those quite a bit. I think her daughter's involved with one of the companies that does it, and I haven't tried it.
Oh my goodness. I mean, we use the one called Cure, Qure, and I probably use it once a month. My wife uses it religiously every night. And even if we go away for one night, it'll be the first thing in her bag. She loves it and thinks it's absolutely brilliant.
How often do you have to wear it?
Well, you wear it for 3 minutes at night on the infrared setting, and then you can do the sort of blue/red light setting as well. I mean, the light salon at Selfridges, for example, it works on a very similar premise to that, except at the light salon, it's 35 quid for sort of 10 minutes. And one of these things is, 10 times that, but then, you use it for forever. I haven't used it enough to really notice the difference, just because I forget, but I love red light in general. I use it for other things. And I actually use red light glasses for my eyes. But she loves it for the skin. So between us, we look pretty interesting in an evening.
Has she noticed a reduction in wrinkles?
Oh, yeah. I mean, she loves it. She absolutely loves it. Firstly, she loves it for if there's ever any sort of breakout, she loves it for that. That's the sort of blue light setting. But then she 100%, it's the main part of her regime.
I'm interested.
Yeah. I think
that could be a Christmas present.
Yeah.
My way.
Well, again, there are cheap ones that you can get on Amazon for, and this is the problem, isn't it? Because you don't quite know what's going in. And things with the red light, you want to get it right. You want to get the dosage right. And, if you're not supposed to be looking at the red light, you kind of want to know about that. And that doesn't involve something for 40 quid on Amazon, probably.
No, I don't think you want to compromise where LED is concerned.
Well, look, 2 questions to ask you, Stephanie. What is one book that you would recommend, and one tip for living with more energy and vitality?
Well, I have a book that I have by my bedside. I have 2 books by my bedside by the same person, and that is Jenna Machuki, who's an immunologist. And she brought out her first book on immunology in 2020 as well. And so it just gives you a real insight into how brilliant our bodies are. And your blueprint for strong immunity is stronger immunity is her second one. And it just loads of tips on how to, stay well. It's not just taking a pill. And this is what I always say at Leapfrog. You've got to eat well. You've got to sleep is vital. That's why our next product was supposed to be sleep. Exercise, not even exercise, caning it at the gym, but like actually, just movement. So she's really brilliant. And, she lectures at the University of Sussex, but she writes it so that everyone can understand in these books. They're brilliant. And I would say that leads me on to your second question. I think for me, it's all about getting outside. I just know if I see green, and there is, there's scientific evidence that what seeing green does to you. I mean, in Japan, they use it as part of a process for getting people well, is to, prescribe them time in green spaces. So I live in city, in urban living, and on the weekends, I get out into the green as much as I can.
There is a lot of science, actually. I've been looking into that fairly recently. It was amazing how they will literally show people pictures and they will feel better, and then they will monitor the difference between hospital patients with a view of nature compared to a view of the car park. And the ones with the view of nature get better quicker. Amazing. So absolutely. Yeah. And it can be a bit hard in London, can't it? But we're quite lucky compared to a lot of cities in terms of the amount of green space we've got.
Yeah. I mean, there are huge parks in London, and you don't have to go far outside of London to get to, amazing spaces. Windsor Great Park. I mean, you feel like you're in the countryside, and I actually feel my stress levels reducing. I come away from an hour's walk. Just nothing I think can touch the sides of how immediate that is for me. So I bask in green spaces every weekend for my energy and vitality.
Awesome. Okay. Well, look, it's really good to talk to you. Where can people find out more about Leapfrog?
So we sell online, leapfrogremedies.com, and it's also in Revital and Selfridges too. Come over to our website, have a look, learn about lactoferrin and lactium-2, which is another protein source from milk. And it should be an interesting read. Come curious and learn and try it. Put it to the test.
Well, 100%. And I will let you know how I get on with it too.
Please do.
Brilliant. All right, Stephanie, great to talk to you. Thank you for coming on.
You too. Thanks so much, Tony. Thanks.
That is it for today's podcast. Thank you for listening. Thank you to Stephanie. And a quick shout out to my podcast partners, Spermidine Life. If you are looking at refocusing and getting back on it for 2023, you want to be thinking about health, longevity, autophagy and looking after yourself, and supports cellular renewal through spermidine. You might have listened to my podcast with Dr. David Sinclair, the world's most prominent longevity expert, and he is on the board at Spermidine Life. He absolutely, when he came on my podcast, I said, look, what are the things that you'd really recommend? And he sort of said the stuff that you tick off, stuff like getting a good night's sleep, blocking out blue light in the evening, intermittent fasting. And then he said spermidine. And what's he done? He's been invited onto the board at Spermidine Life, and he loves the product so much that he's endorsing it as well. So I know a lot of the people in the biohacking community who listen to this podcast are taking it already, and you can use Spermidine Life as well. Use the code TONY20. That will give you 20% off all Spermidine Life products. It is well worth taking. As I've said on this podcast before, we love it for the hair and nails and the skin scenario, as well as the longevity benefits, which you might not be tapping into tomorrow. You might not notice anything, in terms of longevity today or tomorrow, but you might well be very grateful in 10, 20 years' time. And that's a lot of what occupies my mind, probably a little bit too much, really. Also, I want to say thank you to my podcast partners, Bon Charge. And if you go to boncharge.com/Tony, you will find out all about the products that they have got. Some fantastic products. Blue light blocking glasses for the nighttime, light sensitivity glasses for the daytime, which I love wearing when I'm looking at the computer. I've been looking at the computer for a little bit too long. They've got special computer glasses as well. And as well as that, they've got all sorts of other biohacking goodies like blackout sleep masks, EMF and 5G radiation blocking, cold therapy products, and the ones which my friends have got, the blue light blocking lighting, which are awesome. Red and yellow light bulbs, basically, but that you can trust and are cutting out all the blue light. Isn't that brilliant? Now, we do have them in our house, and when I first put them in, it did make the hallway look quite orange, I thought. And now I love it. It feels like coming home to a little cocoon in the evening. So go to boncharge.com/Tony, use the code TONY20 for 20% off everything, and they deliver worldwide. That's it. Thanks for listening. See you next week.